All right, Elias, we haven't talked to you since, I guess, before your last bout with Brad Tavares. Obviously, a controversial ending to that one there. Some people gave it to you. Some people gave it to Brad. It was one of those fights that was sort of in between. Have you had a chance to review that fight, watch that fight, and how did you score it?
Yeah, no, obviously it's one of those close ones. The judges, most importantly, gave it to Brad, which is unfortunately. I think that has more to do with the fact that he's a hometown guy. You know, it's one of those things we talked, not too long ago. You and I we'll get into that at the McGregor presser, but I think you said it best. In regards to my development as a fighter, I think it was a great fight. I had fun being in there. I fought a tough opponent who's been in there with the best of the best, who only really lost to the people that were fighting the next day for the title. So, I've watched it and I've seen that at no point did he figure me out. There was just little mistakes that I made that he was able to counter. And, the last 30 seconds, someone throwing you in a, rear naked choke or attempted rear naked choke, and you think it's more prudent to look at the screen and give a thumbs up to say that you're fine. Sometimes it kind of backfires. But no, at the same time, high spirits. I'm still in the gym. I'm back at it and looking to have either September fight in Edmonton, which is on the 9th, or the 23rd, which is in Japan.
We'll talk about that in a second. The one thing I noticed that when we connected at the Mayweather McGregor here in Toronto, I told you flat out, I didn't want to text you after the fight. I don't like bothering you. Even when you win, I don't want to bother you. I want you to enjoy the win. But if you come out of a defeat, I want to leave you alone because I don't know where your head's at. You are so positive.
Yeah, no. Obviously, the only negative being half your paycheck. But with that being said, honestly, I think this is a bigger discussion about when a fighter is successful enough, stable enough that I make more money outside of being a fighter than I do being a fighter. So this in many ways keeps me relevant and allows me to be, doing what I love, fighting. But at the same time, with outside projects, outside work, outside gigs, again, I make more money not being a fighter than I do being a fighter. Obviously, it all comes from me being a fighter and staying relevant in that sphere. But at the same time, I get to go out there and perform. It didn't go my way. I got half my paycheck, but I got more than half my paycheck, again, being a hair model.
Yeah, and the guy that we were looking at the stage, or the two guys that we were sort of admiring on the stage, in Mayweather and McGregor, those two guys are going to make a lot of money. You and I were just, I guess, in awe of Conor McGregor. The guy's legit insane. He owned that crowd. He owned that microphone. He owned the whole arena. I mean, it was incredible to see what he was doing. What did you get out of that presser? Because there's no point in me telling people what I noticed with you and what you noticed with me and the missus that was with you. It was a spectacle to say the least, but it was unbelievable in my opinion.
Yeah, madness. Whether he's insane crazy or is he crazy or insane crazy, whatever. I don't know how he's able to turn it off. But the more important thing is, I was bumping into Italian and Greek friends wearing Irish flags. That's madness. That never happens. Rarely does that happen when, a World Cup happens. No, you pick your team and then you pick the guy that beat your guy to beat your guy. It was just madness. He had 16,000 strong, just chanting his name. He got the crowd to say, fuck the Mayweathers, in just the loudest, drowning out anything else that wasn't McGregor. And it's plain and simple. It shows that Mayweather fans are fair weather fans. They're only in it for the excess, the name recognition, the big fights. Where McGregor fans follow him tooth and nail. Though they're every troll that yells at you. They're every yell that every crowd that is roaring. It just shows that the as much as McGregor may be the B side in the sense of who's been there longer. That's what I would give him. And Mayweather is someone that put his dues and he's the A side. Clearly, mixed martial arts is on the A side. I think overall, especially what I saw in Toronto, mixed martial arts is where the energy is at. And again, this is an opportunity for our fans to kind of validate ourselves in some regards. But at the same time, it's still a win for someone like McGregor, who's going to walk away with $100 million.
Absolutely. You talk about energy. Yes, that's insanity. You talk about energy. There's an Edmonton show coming up here in Canada that you'd like to be a part of. You mentioned it earlier on. It's pretty close. It's September. So it's not really a full training camp. I think you want to be on there. Yay or nay in terms of who would you like to fight? Because you gave me some names. I said I wouldn't say anything, but is there anyone that specifically that you're able to mention now or not yet?
Well, no one in regards to actually who I'm fighting, but no, there's people that I think that are still up there. There you have Nate Marquardt, who he and I both share a loss to Brad Tavares. Mine is more a lost-ish, but he definitely lost. And there's Dan Kelly, who and I just switched in regards to the top 15 mode. Well, why don't we fight and see who's really belonging of the top 15? And then someone that would be an honor would be someone like Johnny Hendricks. He's just coming off a loss, but he's a huge name, and he's still a badass in his own right. So those are three names that I would love to step in the cage with. And then, again, with middleweight and any type of weight class, there's a bunch of people in between. I still think there's a lot of people that I can give a good showing with. And again, it's kind of hard to think that I just got in a professional fight when I'm unscathed and already back into the gym. But if you put the work in, it kind of, and you get to have fun in there, it doesn't really, stress you out. So I'm back in the gym, and my management's going for both Edmonton and Japan. And those are three names that I would love to square off with. And there's plenty more that I would be happy to kick ass. And
you got to get some training done. You got to leave shortly. Are you bringing those pink headphones with you?
Of course. I had to grab something quick, and I'm glad you could notice.
I know they were yours. I was like, I know exactly where he got them. But listen, thank you very much for taking the time today. It's early in the morning for both you and I. I got some work to do. You got some training to do. My training is probably a little later on, and that would consist of today's cardio day. So I'm not going to be busting my butt as hard as you are, but got to get that sweat on.
Still doing your thing.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for your time.
Always a pleasure.